Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And the boys are back. Very happy to say that we are in the black there on Monday night. We've got just 4 games here on Tuesday, really small slate with probably the news of the day. Ja Morant is back in NBA action, be playing tonight against the New Orleans Pelicans. We'll talk about that game a little bit here in just a minute. We also have our player props up in addition to these best bets we're bringing you. So make sure that you check out the other video as well each and every weekday by subscribing to that page. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Use everything we've got up on the site right now and that odds finder tool to make sure that you're getting the best juice available to you on all of these bets and props you're making in the NBA this season. Nate, let's stay hot, kid. I know it's a weird slate. We'll try to dodge around some of these landmines and kick it off with Phoenix and Portland.
Yeah, I do like some points in this game. I think the Blazers are back to playing a little bit more of the style we've grown accustomed to with Anthony Simons back, which is to say, you know, we have small, talented guards, and so we're just going to try to outscore you a little more than early in the season where they were just playing this type of slugfest style. So Blazers to get 112 or over that, and I would consider parlaying it with Jeremy Grant. 22.5 points is a little low for him in a matchup with the Suns. I mean, the Suns are most vulnerable kind of at those positions, right? The point guard or power forward position, which makes you feel good about backing the Blazers offense with Brogdon and Jeremy Grant really playing their best ball right now. I mean, I said it's because Simons has been back for 6, and the numbers definitely indicate that. But these two guys, their last 3 at home, Jeremy Grant, 29 points per game, 141 offensive rating. Brogdon, 22 points per game, 126. And then Simons back for 6 games here. Blazers up to a 121 offensive rating, scoring 115.5. That's exactly what they scored last season with him versus 108 without him. They've gone over this total in 4 straight, averaging 119 a game, despite the 97 pace. I mean, I'm not saying that this is a slam dunk because it's 119 a game, because those matchups, you know, Warriors, Mavs, Clippers in there. Suns are pretty solid defensively. I mean, under Frank Vogel, as you would expect, and they've also played pretty slow. But I don't think we're going to get the 89 pace we got when these teams met earlier this season, which was a 120-107 Suns win, but the Blazers still posted a 120 offensive rating. So like the fact that they were able to score efficiently, like the fact that Phoenix has been more vulnerable on the road, 116 defensive rating in their last 7 road games. 5 of their 7 opponents have gone over this total. And yeah, like I said, point guard just roasted by Brunson for the second time for a career high output. It should just be points on both sides here. I don't mind the over for the game, considering, you know, Ayton, Simons, there's just some bad defenders on the Blazers side as well, but I think they'll keep pace at home. And you know, maybe you take them to cover as well. Just a lot of ways to take this to just say, like, this Blazers team is a little underrated right now.
I'm going to move on to I'll call it one of my favorite bets. I'm gonna make this simple. It's going to be a money line parlay between 2 teams that I have a lot of confidence in tonight, and that is the Bucks and the Pellies. So it's time to talk about Ja being back, but I don't really know how to talk about it because I don't really know what to expect fully from him, to be honest with you. I just don't know how much he's going to play, and how in shape he is. He's probably fine and still much more athletic and faster than everybody on the floor, literally. At that same time, like, it matters that, you know, playing at Lifetime Fitness ain't the same as playing in the NBA. So NBA shape is going to come into play here. We'll see how much, and mostly we'll just see how much Taylor Jenkins wants to even play him. Like, does he really want to keep him in there for that long? I'm not positive. It opened at like 6.5, and I was a little bit more comfortable with that than it rising all the way up to about 8.5, to be honest with you, for the Pellies to win. But they've been clicking a lot in their last 7 games, 5-2. Zion's played 6 of those games, missed 1, and that was one of the ones they lost. With him and Brandon Ingram on the floor together, they're a good team. And I tried to talk about this maybe a month ago, right before they lost a game they shouldn't have lost. So, like, this could fall under that category. That's why I don't love betting on the Pellies. But in a situation where, you know, like I said, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson back up to about a 125 offensive rating when they're on the floor together. And I always come back to that because it always looks weird when they're on the floor together. It doesn't always. It has in the past looked clunky and off. So like I'm consistently wondering what it's like when they're both on the floor together. And this season, it's been very good, especially in those last 7 games, like I said, where they really come on. They've got the top 7 net rating in that time frame. They are playing at a pretty decent speed. Memphis obviously been playing at a slow speed. Now we're going to get Ja back, so they're obviously going to be sped up. And we'll see what that actually means for how much their offense actually clicks as well, because he's coming back to a team that heavily relies on Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. to do pretty much everything on offense at this point. So we'll see what that turns into with him there. But the Pelly's defense has been, a top 10 defense in the league, especially at home where they're incredible. And their games do go a little bit lower scoring there because of the fact that they're so good on defense. They're also pretty good on offense at home at this point. But what you're looking for is like, can they stop what Memphis is going to want to do? And if Ja wasn't in, I'd be like, yeah, Memphis less than 110 points seems pretty realistic. With Ja in there, I think Memphis probably at around 110 points still feels realistic. So I do see this as like a 7 to 10 point game for the Pellies. I don't trust the spread enough to have them cover 9 points in this one, which could rise even more. But Milwaukee, I don't think I need to go into too deeply. I'll talk about that game in a minute through a player prop, but I like it's up to 16.5. That might not be enough for the Bucks at home versus a Spurs team that won't have Victor Wembanyama. And if you want me to get into it, they're bottom 5 in everything that you could possibly hope for. We're about to see a lot of Malachi Branham tonight. Love him, but that's also sort of like a white flag that Pop continuously raises. Like, Malachi, go get the usage out there because I don't even really want to have to coach this offense. And you are basically a one-man offense when you're on the floor in terms of what you think you are, because how often you shoot. So I don't necessarily trust him either at 12.5. They've also caught on to that. He's got a pretty high prop for him. But either way, in that Milwaukee game, I don't need to go into him. They're going to win that game, and if they don't, it's a complete and utter anomaly.
You sure Wemby's out? I thought I saw props for him.
Yeah, I keep seeing props for him, but the actual NBA injury report that the Spurs delivered to the NBA says he's out. So a couple places have props for him and a couple places don't.
In any case, yeah, I mean, I don't think you need just the money line for the Bucks. Like, you can obviously play around with the spread, right? You can go to like -6.5, 7.5. You don't have to take the full -16. But yeah, I mean, that's got to be a laughable addition in terms of their money line is like -1,000.
Yeah,
at home against
alt line
the
is better.
Spurs.
You're right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what to expect from Ja. That's really the question mark here. I think maybe the safest thing is to bet over 2.5 turnovers for him. I think he's just going to come out like a bat out of hell, pushing the issue for a Grizzlies team that has not been able to score. I mean, that does give me confidence that he can get 25 points, is that they're just so desperate for some offensive production, and they're on a back-to-back, and he's fresh, and I think the usage will be very high. So I did consider that, the 25 points, although, yeah, I think Josh is right to have some caution about, how much he's played recently. He's probably played in some high-level pickup games. I mean, it's not like he's playing pickup at LA Fitness, as he said. I'm sure he's had some way to stay in shape here, and he is a ridiculous athlete. So Boston at Golden State. I'll take the under at 233.5. Maybe it even creeps up a little bit. Golden State struggling to defend right now. This is true, but I mean, this is the Celtics on the road versus at home. There's some really notable splits, and we just haven't seen it in a long time. Celtics, 7 of their last 8 have been at home, including 4 in a row, or 5 in a row. And when they hit the road after these long home stands, sometimes the offense just comes out a little bit flat. Sometimes that second unit is not as proficient. And look, CP3 is questionable with an illness, and then that Warriors second unit is going to just tank without him. If that's the case, I mean, that's been their biggest source of strength this year is recovering from the Stephless minutes, and the Stephless minutes could be rough without CP3 or if he's just under the weather. And I think the Celtics are going to be able to match up on Steph and limit him a little bit. And Clay. I mean, they have the best defensive backcourt in the league, so be able to hold the Warriors down a little bit here. I mean, they have for years, back when they had Marcus Smart, and these games were ultra competitive, even when the Warriors were an absolute juggernaut. The trends are ridiculous. I mean, we can't put too much stock in like 2017 games, but they've gone under in 13 of their last 15 regular season meetings, and no games even among the 15 have gotten to above 233. recently they've gone under in 3 straight in the regular season, 5 straight if you include the finals, for what that's worth. But more to me about the home road splits here. Warriors scoring 6 fewer points at home, 112. They're also scoring 112 wherever they are without Draymond versus 116 with him. Celtics scoring 11 points per game fewer on the road. They've gone under in 4 of their last 5 roadies. Like I said, those came a while ago. But yeah, hitting 3 fewer threes at 10% lower. And yeah, I just think that the slow, choppy pace at times, especially down the stretch, if this is close and if Steph's not humming, the Warriors are not going to be putting up a ton of points.
Yeah, and Steph humming is also, yeah, like you said, it's heavily like dependent upon how they guard him. Are they going to try to? I don't think they really need to double him quite as much as other teams have had to force the ball out of their hands because Derek White and Drew Holiday are that good. I say that to mostly also say Drew Holiday is probably going to keep Clay pretty quiet, which is a huge part of all this. Like Clay going off in the last 3 games against worse teams, by the way, for sure. Worst defensive teams against the 3, especially. Although the Celtics have been giving up decent amount of threes because teams are taking them, but they're still in the top 10 or top 12 or so in terms of the opponent 3-point percentage. They're just taking a lot of them, so they're making a decent amount of them. But yeah, main point is this is a context and situation for an under. I love this if especially if KP or CP3 are out. The thing about KP is I would lean towards him playing like 60-40 in my eyes because they have a back-to-back tomorrow night against SAC, and I think if you're considering which team, if it's a matter of we know we're going to have him for one game, we just don't know which one. I think they choose the one against the Warriors. That's why I would bank on him playing a little bit more, just trying to get into the mind of Mazzulla and company. Like I think they all care about playing the Celtics or
really?
the Dubs.
I think he's a lot more essential against Sabonis the next night, though. But he does have props up, so yeah, it does look like he's probably going to play.
That's the reason I lean it, and I feel you in terms of how they would need him or where they would need him more. I do feel like they'd be very happy to crush the Dubs and like play a close one against the Kings. This is kind of where I'm coming from. But either way, I kind of hope he's out because I'll talk about that in player props. But I'm going to close things out going back to the well of a superstar under PRA to end the best bets video, which I tried with Luka last night, and he was so damn close. He had 52 PRA at the very end there, and then got a putback and a fouled on a 3, and blah, 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 blah. It was not even a real game. Anyway, 51.5 PRA under that for Yanni Boo Boo for Giannis. This is heavily predicated on Wemby not being in. Like if Wemby's in, they don't have a chance. If Wemby's out, they don't have a chance at keeping this within 20 points. So if he's out, I don't know why Giannis would be playing much past the middle of the third quarter at the most. This is terrifying because Giannis's per 36 against this team is Wilt Chamberlain in Hershey Park, right? In like the 50s. So 31 points and 14 rebounds in 24 minutes. I can't even get through saying it. In 24 minutes, he had 31 points and 14 boards against this team last time they played, which was the end of last season, which he didn't even need to play that much, but he still stayed in there because he got like a few minutes in the third quarter. It was a 130-94 blowout, and that is basically what I expect here. I don't know why it would be much different. He was also playing in that game. Drew Holiday played a few minutes in that game, didn't play very much. Middleton was also coming back from injury. They were like, Giannis, you go ahead and just do what you want. We don't really want to play the dudes who are coming back from injury on our team alongside you. Well, that's not the case here. Dame's fully healthy. Malik Beasley is in. Pat Connaughton is back. Chris Middleton has upped his minutes to about 28.5 per game in the last 4 because they're playing duty teams, and it's nice for him to be able to get out there, get a little bit of blow without having to go too hard. So that's why I lean towards the under 52 PRA from him, because I just don't think he's going to have time to do it. He hasn't done it in his last 5 versus San Antonio for the exact reason that I'm prostrating right now, which is 30 minutes per game, 27 points per game, and 9 boards in that time frame. And the upcoming games that they have, Orlando in a night from now, New York a night, 2 nights after that, and OKC 2 nights after that. So I might be stretching a little bit, but it's just like 52. Like he's not Luka. He's not needed that way against this team. So maybe the Luka one, it was close. It was silly, but I'm going back to the well on it.
Yeah, no, I don't know how many people are going with you to said well. That's absolutely terrifying. Like you said, yeah, if he has 45 in 24 minutes, and you never know when he's just going to decide to just put up mind-boggling numbers against a team that can't compete against him like he does against Indy sometimes or recently. But there is precedence. I mean, they had this blowout against Detroit 2 games ago, right? 22, 8, and 6 in 26 minutes certainly gets you under. They let Dame get going. Maybe he does defer a little bit more since you can do whatever you want against the Spurs defense. I think if you want to bet against the minutes and the production, go under 3.5 turnovers for Giannis, which is minus 130. But yeah, if he's not out there and he's not forcing anything, because there's just such a bad defense, we see in the game log here, 0 turnovers against Detroit, 2 against Chicago, 1 against Indiana. Like, he doesn't really go over this unless he's playing a good team with a close game down the stretch. Yeah, you go all the way through the game log, and that's kind of the correlation.
I like that. I like that angle. So yeah, let's ride with it. Under 3.5 turnovers as well for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Let's put the unit there for me on that one, because that is a safer bet. I'm going to go back. I hit it a little bit because it was at 51.5 last night with just a half a unit, and it's already gone down a little bit to 50.5. So I think there is a bit of a trend for some people to be like, I just don't see him getting 30 minutes. But I think the turnovers are a great way to play that angle as well. So that is all the time we have for you in Best Bets, though. Continue to follow along. Subscribe to that page. Check out the Play of Props that we also have in another video up for you now and each and every weekday. And until we see you next, happy betting.